Why, hello everybody. It's Wes, Hank, and Andy, and we are back once again as I'm trying to chat live. Like, oh wait, I got to talk now. We're back with part 6 of our Road to Ahsoka review series, where we have been taking a look at the character development of fan favorite character Ahsoka Tano through the lens of the Essential Ahsoka Tano playlist on Disney Plus. Tonight we're going back all the way back to the beginning. As I said in my my opener, every legend has an origin.
It does.
We're going to be touching on the 3 episodes from the Tales of the Jedi episodes that focus on Ahsoka Tano. We just covered those pretty recently, actually.
Fairly recently, yes.
Yeah, so
I think it's safe to cover them a little bit more.
Well, I think I actually wrote the same episode as I did Fortunate Show as I did when we covered it the first time. But there are things that I saw this time that I'm like, wait a minute, we totally omitted or didn't really talk about it. So I'm kind of excited to talk about some of the things that we maybe didn't see.
Dial in.
Yeah, the first time around. However,
it's funny. This weekend, they're airing the complete Skywalker saga on Showcase.
On Showcase?
Yeah.
Nice.
And watching Revenge of the Sith,
yeah,
you would never know Ahsoka existed.
Watching it with commercials even.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
without all the Clone Wars and Rebels and Mandalorian and stuff.
It's true. It's like she doesn't exist.
For so many people in the fandom, that's the case too. Because they're animated, people like write them off. A lot I encountered that a lot. There are a lot of like fans who consider themselves like serious fans like we do and take it very seriously and know a ton about the properties. That just are like, nope. In my head, none of that stuff counts. I'm like, man,
it doesn't exist.
Yeah.
Wow, I just don't understand it.
Because we were sitting there watching Revenge of the Sith last night, and I'm looking at Jen. I'm like, you know what? This movie is so much richer when you include all the other stuff around it.
Oh
yeah.
And she's like, well, what do you mean? I'm like, well, the last 4 episodes of the Clone Wars tied directly in.
Yeah, exactly. And if you watch that, there's that fan edit.
Yes.
That stitches everything together. It does.
It adds a whole new
It does
layer.
add something.
It changes everything.
Yeah, it really does. Now, before we get to the breakdowns that we're all here for tonight,
is it time?
I think it's time to unlock the vault here and listen to another one of those bad Star Wars jokes. What was that, Hank?
So what do you feed that guy?
Enough to keep him going.
Yeah.
Guys, did you know that Yoda had a side gig at a bakery early on in his life?
I did not.
Yeah, one day a kid came in and he ordered a pie, and all Yoda could muster was dough or donut. There is no pie.
Oh no.
Oh, that's terrible.
It goes from bad to dad, just like
on a dime.
This has been another installment of Bad Star Wars Jokes. All right. Come and hang out with us on Tuesday night when we sit down and we do Random Fandom Tuesday. I'm going to introduce a new segment this week. And it's going to be a lot of fun. I hope you guys will both be here to take part in that, because I think it's going to be hilarious. And if nobody else thinks so, I do.
Nice.
All right then.
All right, let's keep this thing going. It is the Road to Ahsoka, part 6. It's got to change
Sixth
over our
leg of the tour.
I know. Where's our presentation mode? Wow, this is taking forever to load.
I was saying that
to
Lauren today.
There we go.
Basically, this will be our longest review series ever. Like the Road to Ahsoka is 8 weeks, and then we're gonna do 8 weeks of actual Ahsoka.
Yeah,
and
of actual Ahsoka,
right? So it's that's the kind of character she is. She's worth going. Let's do 8 weeks of
absolutely
of brushing up on
absolutely.
her, because
we'd always said we'd like to go back and maybe do some Rebels, and I don't know, but I'm looking forward to season 5.
Oh, big time. I can't wait till we start to do those Rebels episodes next week.
Mouth himself.
I know we've been joking about that for so long, but I mean, now Other entertainment outlets are picking up on that, and they are now referring to it as Rebels Season 5.
Yeah.
Because what else could it be?
Exactly.
All right. As I said earlier, every legend has an origin. I'm going to kick us off tonight with my episode. It is Tales of the Jedi, Episode 1. It's called Life and Death. This one is written by Dave Filoni, and it originally aired October 26th, 2022. So it's not even been not even a year since we 8 months since we've covered this, 7 or 8 months.
Yeah,
that's right.
The official description reads: a child goes through a rite of passage with unexpected results. All right, the episode opens in a small village on the Torgruta homeworld of Sheely, where a child is born in the middle of the night. All of the villagers gather around the parents' house to welcome the new baby, and her name is Ahsoka. We get our title cards, which are kind of weird. They're in a bit of a weird place for this one. A cool little burnished coppery gold thing. I don't know how you
the Bronze Age, maybe.
Yeah, kind of. And then we skip ahead. It's a year later, and Ahsoka's mother, Pav T, takes her baby out on her first hunting trip. On the way out of the village, they meet with village elder Gantika, who anoints their foreheads with a blue dye. Luck. Now, I don't know why. Don't know why or don't know how we didn't talk about this the last time around, but I could not help but notice the similarities in the animation models. Now, there's Clone Wars Season 7 Ahsoka bookmarked with her Rebels look, and there in the middle is her mom, Pav T. And how much if you blended those two animation models together, that she looks like her mom.
Yeah. Yeah.
Totally glossed over that the last time we looked at this. Never even really paid attention to it. I actually thought that maybe some of her facial markings, the white markings, would have come from a blend of her parents. They do not. They are completely unique to her. There's no lineage in her markings.
They just develop along the course of growth,
which may have been a missed opportunity. I don't know. I guess it depends on how you feel about that kind of stuff. But as far as I'm concerned, Ahsoka looks just like her mom. All right. Where are we going here? As Ahsoka and her mom walk down a forested trail, Pav T imparts some Togrutan cultural wisdom to her daughter. She tells her that everywhere there is life, and to value and honor it, before stopping to indulge in some play by kicking the spores off of some very large purple flowers. But the reverie is interrupted by the braying of a few kaibuck grazing nearby in a meadow. While shooting one of the kaibuck, Pav T approaches the wounded animal and imparts another cultural lesson. She tells Ahsoka that she must face death and not fear it. Then, taking out her knife, she dispatches the animal with a ritualistic chant. As Pav T works to secure the kaibuck so she can carry it back to the village, a large Rakshir saber-toothed cat has quietly stalked the kill for itself. I was really trying to pay attention to this scene, and I was like, is the cat stalking the animal that's the wounded animal, or them?
Maybe all three.
I would think, opportunistically speaking, it's going for the easy meal, the kaibuck.
Yeah.
I don't know why.
But at the same time, if it can take all three, it will.
I would think so as well.
Yeah,
I would think so.
Like dispatch the big one and then
without He-Man to rein him in.
Yeah, that's right. Cringer is on the prowl.
Cringer is on the prowl.
Yeah, I mean, there's no denying the similarities between these
it's a
two.
beautiful nod.
I think we did kind of make fun of it on the last time we did this. Looks a lot like ironically enough, like the kids' CGI He-Man version.
Yeah, the Netflix second series.
I kind of think it's kind of cool, actually. Well, Ahsoka, having noticed the cat, alerts her mom to the Rakshir. Then Pav T and the cat square off. It's a fight for her life, and ultimately one that Pav T wins with the help of other villagers who arrive armed with blasters. But the victory comes with a heavy cost, as the saber-toothed cat has escaped with baby Ahsoka in its mouth. Taking the baby back to its cave, the Rakshir drops Ahsoka onto the floor before it circles around to lick its wounds. When Ahsoka sneezes, the saber-tooth bares its teeth and roars at her, and then it gets up and slinks towards the infant, ready to make a meal out of her. Looming over Ahsoka, the Rockshear lowers its head, ready to consume her. But before it can open its mouth, Ahsoka's little hand reaches up and touches the beast on its nose. And in that moment, we are reminded of the lesson imparted to Luke Skywalker at Ben Kenobi's house. The Force is what gives a Jedi his power. It's an energy field created by all living things. It surrounds us and penetrates us. It binds the galaxy together. And while I couldn't find any canonical references for how young a Force-sensitive child might be when they're identified by the Jedi, it's important to remember that Ahsoka is just 1 year old in this scene. By comparison, the youngest human youngling that we see in Attack of the Clones is identified as being 4. So somewhere between 1 and 4, I would say at a year old, like, are all Jedi potential kids?
They would start showing,
start displaying Force ability this young
on, yeah.
Because that's impressive. That's one thing in Star Wars that we don't actually see a whole lot of. Now, maybe the High Republic is looking at that a little bit more, but certainly not anything we've seen up until now.
Well, doesn't Shmi say, he's always been ahead of himself and in accordance to Anakin?
Yeah. We don't see any of that, though, except for the pod race. If we accept that Anakin Skywalker is the only human that can do it.
Yeah. It's probably quite innate at that age, too, before they unlearn stuff, Like,
absolutely.
Even Ahsoka talks about Grogu not being able to wield the Force after lack of just simple practice, not through anything else, but it's like working a muscle, right?
Yeah.
So a baby would have, it would be fresh, unhindered. So you would get pure Force abilities. I would think like that.
I would think so as well.
Pure. Yeah.
One of the other things that comes through in this scene for me, and it didn't come through the first time around, was, and of course it's fresh in our minds because we've been reviewing the whole series, but there is a mention of from Anakin Skywalker about how fearless, how well do you know your student? Well, she's absolutely fearless. This might just be the most early example of that. And I say that this is what I would describe as an unnatural reaction, especially after witnessing her mom in a fight to this is a live or die moment.
Yeah.
This kid should be afraid. She should be afraid of this.
I mean, the lesson there might be, and she's super young. We're putting a lot of human, the way we learn things on her, right? On an alien cartoon character, but
it's true. That is true.
What she did see her mom was act fearlessly because she stood her ground against a
that's true as well
beast. So
that is true as well.
There's the flip side of that coin. That might be the lesson she took from that. No fear.
Yeah. I guess to follow up on this, to stick with this for a minute, it's not the first time we've seen a display of the Force in conjunction with animals. We saw it in Attack of the Clones with Anakin calming the Reek so that he could ride it. We've also seen it many times over in Star Wars Rebels with Ezra Bridger and virtually every animal he's ever come in contact with. We see it again, obviously, with Grogu and the Rancor, and like it or not, even Rey and the Avexis snake in The Rise of Skywalker, they've all had this.
Not saying anything, but play Survivor.
I just bought it. Today. I'm actually going to play it.
I can't wait to talk to you about it.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. So definitely within the scope of a Jedi. What's interesting here, though, is that of all of the examples that we're looking at, Ahsoka is the only untrained variation of this. Arguably Ezra as well. He always had some kind of weird connection with animals. But at a year old, you can't tell me that, that Ahsoka's doing that with any sort of
she has one line from her mother, right? Stare death in the face and do not fear.
Right, exactly. And she's not.
I would argue out of the 4 there that Anakin is the best trained. Grogu being, probably getting just youngling lessons. I would almost put Rey and Luke and Ezra in the same category. I would even put Ezra higher, actually. I would say that Ezra has had more formal training than either Rey or Luke Skywalker.
I'm really hoping that, and this, not to get too far off in the weeds, but that's one element that I'm actually looking forward to, and I hope that it's explored, is the ancient Jedi texts. They weren't really explored in the movies, other than she kept them in a drawer on the Falcon. Presumably she's actually read them, and I'd like to see some of that get played out.
Page turners, they were not.
They were not. Yeah. All right. Well, that night, the villagers all gather on the edge of the town, armed with blasters. Ahsoka's father vows to find his daughter, but then a ferocious roar alerts the villagers to the approaching saber cat. The villagers raise their weapons, but the elder Gontika stops them. And as the cat enters the dimly lit street, baby Ahsoka clings to the beast's neck. Stopping a few feet away, the cat lowers its head, allowing Pavti to retrieve Ahsoka. After raising its head, the two warriors acknowledge one another, and the great cat turns and walks back into the forest. Excuse me.
Bless you.
The villagers gather around Ahsoka and her parents. Pavti asks Gontika how this could happen, and staring at the child, the elder Torgruta declares that Ahsoka is Jedi. Fade to black.
Yep.
It's a short episode. I think it was 18 minutes or something with credits. It was really, really short. The amount of stuff. I know we looked at this not that long ago, and we looked at it with like crazy amounts of detail.
We sure did, yeah.
But I really think, I really feel like I missed it the first time around, sort of that connection to the Force and that connection to the line from her mom, facing it. Yeah.
Don't fear.
But it really does. I guess maybe it's because, like I said, having watched the other episodes so recently and having that reminder that Anakin talked about Ahsoka and how he knows how fearless she is, you really get a better appreciation for where some of that's coming from, and that it was this early in her life.
It goes on to explain why she's always jumping in front of others
to
protect them.
Yeah, that's a super. Super cool moment anyway.
Yeah.
All right, that's it for me. I'm going to turn it over now. Hank, you're going to take us through the next one. Controls are over to you, sir.
Excellent. Boom, boom, boom. Tales of the Jedi, episode 5. We're in the middle of the arc, and I guess we're just jumping through her history here, right? Like,
really we are.
And
skip a few years there, but
I would argue that these three are far more essential than some of the stuff we've covered already. Just not that we haven't done our job and enjoyed every second of it. Just I'm going to, when we hit the end of the review series, like episode 8, I will be going like, what about these episodes? And then I'll have an extensive list for you all to consider.
Here's all the ones that Disney deemed not worthy.
Yeah, I can't believe it. So episode 5, Practice Makes Perfect. Runtime of, it's the shortest of all, even the Dooku episodes. A runtime without credits of 9 minutes 7 seconds. We've got Saul Ruiz returning as director, and of course written by Dave Filoni. I wrote my own synopsis, and just like my sort of take on this episode, it's quite pithy. Anakin's toughest lessons bear fruit when Order 66 comes to fruition.
All right.
Boom, boom, boom. At the Jedi Temple, several Jedi Masters gather to watch the Padawan Ahsoka Tano train against lightsaber remotes. She is highly skilled and beats the first wave of them effortlessly. Master Terra Sanube taps his cane on the floor, and a second part of the exam begins. A ray shield envelops the young Padawan, and Phase 2 seeker droids drop from the ceiling armed with advanced blasters meant to simulate battle droids. Ahsoka, in a stunning display of agility and swordsmanship, eliminates the drones, barely breaking a sweat, but Anakin Skywalker is not impressed. What's the problem? Anakin thinks it's a lousy test, despite the fact that every Jedi must take it. He challenges her to a real test to see what she's learned. Frustrated, Ahsoka accepts. Scroll. At a large empty hangar by the clone barracks, Anakin has gathered several members of the 501st, including Rex and Jesse. The test is nearly identical to the last, with the exception being that the clone troops will play the part of the remotes. Anakin believes that while droids are predictable, Ahsoka must be ready for anything. Stepping into the center of the circle of clones, she calmly ignites her single green saber as Skywalker instructs her to remain calm, think, feel the intention of the trooper who will fire first, telling her she should be able to sense the moment before they even pull the trigger. Ahsoka deftly blocks the first few stun blasts, but is eventually felled by a shot, rending her into unconsciousness. It's so cruel. It's it's unbelievably cruel. The more I watch it, I must have watched it 4 or 5 times. And then, like, I find Anakin's compassion in it. Like I find, like, I'll explain it in a second, but I find like my dad in this episode in a weird way. Like,
oh, really?
Get super hard, right? But then the lessons are like, now you're tough enough to deal with life.
It's like a kung fu master.
Almost.
It's funny though. I mean, but like, does anybody actually see Obi-Wan putting Anakin through this?
Well, I actually pictured, and this is completely off camera and headcanon and stuff, but I picture Anakin putting himself through this.
Interesting. Yeah, I think that's the only way that I can rationalize it, is that I don't believe that the student master relationship that he has with Obi-Wan Kenobi
wouldn't have been necessary for him to train as a young man. There was no war. These are wartime measures. Yeah. He's making a soldier, like,
yeah,
and he's anyway. I find it's fascinating. After an hour passes, Ahsoka finally regains consciousness. In a comedic but retrospectively heartbreaking moment, Jesse yells from the back, "Sorry, Commander," after really tagging her. But her master is relentless and demands she go again and again and again. Each time, while evading a few blasts, she is stricken inert by the keen, sharp shooting of the 501st's best. Regaining her senses once again, finally, the Padawan protests. "This is ridiculous. The droids aren't half as good as Rex's men." And Anakin responds that that's the point. "Look, I know this is tough, but I want it to be difficult. This is about life and death, and as your master, I'm responsible for you. The best way I can protect you is to teach you how to protect yourself." He picks up her fallen saber and hands it to her gently. "If you can hold off Rex and the boys, you'll be ready for anything on the battlefield. Well, anything with a blaster, at least. Are you ready?" Ahsoka's demeanor changes. I believe she realizes this brutal and painful test is coming from the deepest compassion that Anakin has for her. It really resonates as one of the few parenting moments the duo have. She is ready. This time, Ahsoka lasts much longer, repealing the stun ray after stun ray, and yet again, she's tagged. I think I counted 8 times, but you just get like, that's a montage. I think it was far more than 8. Yeah. And then when there's a time jump, it was 8 that day. Like I get the impression that this is a regular sort of
now routine. Do we think maybe Anakin had a vision of this? Because this is right in the heart of when he was having his visions of Padme.
So I thought that last time too, and maybe clouded, but something like, it's so specific that he's
like, you got to take on Rex in the 501st.
Right.
Yeah.
It's very
life or death. And wasn't the episode named Life or Death? Or Life and Death?
Victory and Death.
Victory and Death.
Yeah.
Upon opening her eyes this time, Rex leans over her, handing her back her saber, saying, "Not bad. Took us 5 minutes to knock you out that time." She stands confident. "I can do better." We see that perhaps a year or two has passed, and they are now in the hangar of a Venator, and Ahsoka is dual wielding now. The boys open fire. The Padawan, endowed with a great deal more skill, turns aside their fire in an elegant dance of lightsaber prowess, her timing impeccable as her master watches from the background, almost smiling at her progress. She deflects all comers. That is until Rex pulls both blasters and fires. Turning towards him, eyes wide, she's hit squarely. She didn't see that coming. Oh, it's so painful still.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
This time,
and we just did. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you, Hank, but we just did Victory and Death, and they've upped the density of clones in this scene exponentially.
Yeah.
There's a lot more guys there.
Yeah, there was 9. I counted before 9 rows of 9.
Yeah.
Plus Jesse in the front.
There's a lot more there now.
Yeah, there certainly is. And it's the inverse, almost the inverse of the scene. The POV is completely different. This time, when we return to Ahsoka, it's even further into the future. As Ahsoka and Rex walk down a dark hallway, sparks fall from the ceiling and klaxons blare, and we know we are painfully aboard the Tribunal in its final moments as it's plunging towards the moon below, mere minutes after Sidious enacted the nefarious Order 66. They pause before the hangar door, and Rex, donning his helmet and quipping one final time, "Let's hope all that training pays off." He takes up position behind her, drawing a weapon, and as she places her hand upon her head, the blast doors open. There, aligned against them, her friends, Rex's brothers, the 332nd Battalion of the Grand Army of the Republic, stand ready to execute their order. Rex and Ahsoka step through the door, demanding they hold fire. Jesse barks into his comm, "We've got the commander and Tano. Send all remaining units to my position." Anakin Skywalker's harshest lesson is about to become Ahsoka Tano's defining moment. The hangar door slams to black. Wow. Like, watching it that close to victory and death, where it had been almost a year between them the last time. It's like it's genius writing, first of all. You get the sense of like, this is something he had in the margins of writing victory and death.
So, yeah, I agree with that.
You know what I mean? And then he went, "Oh, I have this opportunity to show." And then the whole time you watch Anakin's so cold in this episode. It gives a little smirk at the end, but he's so cold, and he's so, even when he explains it to her, she tries to find like that fatherly nature in him, that protection and stuff. But when it's like, when you actually realize that that's what saved her life. Like, everything was for this moment. It's just crazy deep, man. Wow.
It sort of makes the sequence with Luke training with the remote and the Millennium Falcon look, comical
a little bit.
Yeah.
Oh, I got shot in the bum. Oh,
at 20.
Here's a. What were you doing at 15? At 15, you were still squeezing water out of the air.
So much like your father. Other than that, he would have whooped your ass.
And then said, "Do it again."
You're lucky there was only half of them.
And again. Exactly. Wow.
Yeah, man, heavy. And I love the little, like, you realize when you rewatch these that how much of that black humor that Rex uses to relieve our stress.
Oh my gosh,
a lot. Like, and in
it's
those moments,
very, very authentic soldier type stuff.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, it really is. I guess we're going to head on over to the third episode. That's Andy. You're going to take us through that one. And yeah, man.
Yeah. So, Tales of the Jedi, Season 1, Episode 6, titled Resolve. Originally aired October 26, 2022. Synopsis reads, a former Jedi is faced with the truth that they cannot be something they are not. And we open our episode in the twilight of the Revenge of the Sith during the funeral for Padme. And it's Bail Organa that spots Ahsoka in the crowd, but only for a moment before she disappears. Bail manages to catch up with her walking down a long vacant hallway, and he tells her she shouldn't have come here. There isn't anything that she could have done for either of them. Why risk it? And when she turns around and removes her hood, the amount of sadness on her face is just overwhelming.
Think that she just came from burying how many clones?
Yeah. And she quietly replies,
as far as she's concerned, Anakin's dead.
Yeah.
Obi-Wan's dead. As far as she's concerned.
Yeah. Like, that's all she needs to say. She's lost so much at this point.
Yeah, exactly.
Padme, Master Anakin, the Jedi Order that will never have a chance now to be fixed.
Yeah.
Her clone troopers, so many clone troopers. And on top of that, the galaxy is now hunting her. But Bail and her are interrupted by an approaching patrol, and he leads her off into the shadows. And once again, when they're alone, he hands her a communicator citing if she needs anything to contact him with it. But she tries to hand it back, noting that she's tired of fighting. But before she can hand it back, the patrol has caught up, and Ahsoka leaps to the roof above. And as the clones tell Bail he's not allowed to be there, he tells them that it's easy to get lost with all that has happened.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
But still, we have a duty, don't we? An obligation to uphold when we are able.
What do you mean, Star Wars? There's no talking in metaphor. I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
He's backdoor like one of the main heroes of Star Wars.
Yeah.
He talks Kenobi and Ahsoka to going back into the fight. Without either of those things happen, Star Wars is so boring.
Yeah.
It's just
it really is an
Empire,
unsung
and
Empire wins.
President of the galaxy.
But I love how he does this, because these words, they're not for the troops, they're for Ahsoka.
Right.
And they land as he intended them to. So as the troopers escort Bail away, Ahsoka, she makes her escape in silence, and she walks down the river towards the waiting Captain Rex, and they depart Naboo.
Well, I mean, it plays out some now that we've got Andor under our belts to sort of like chew on that and go look at the political, the maneuvering between Luthen and Mon in the shop, and it's all veiled.
Yeah.
You know,
Right.
it's very much like, oh, this is so much in the same vein.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But like you can tell by the ship and stuff, she's literally just come from burying clowns.
Absolutely. Still rocking the Y-Wing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But then we get our title card, and it is again with the Bronzed Age type logo and stuff. And
it's the Cloud City at dusk look.
Mm-hmm.
That's kind of what it looks like.
Then after an undisclosed amount of time, we catch up with Ahsoka working in a small farming community, and she's harvesting crops, doing her best to go undetected. But when an overloaded cart threatens to kill one of the workers, she uses the Force without hesitation, saving that villager. But as the dust settles, she realized she's just exposed herself, and the villager she saved has seen her. Others come to rush and check on the villager, but she continues to look at Ahsoka's direction, and her brother takes notice of this.
Yeah, like,
and
what?
Ahsoka, she just kind of walks away and blends into the crowd. But later on, the girl, still grateful, asks Ahsoka if she wants to join the rest for lunch. And we find out that she's going by the name Ashla, which we covered in the
Ashla and the Bogan.
Yeah. And after some hesitation, she agrees and joins the group, who are currently engaged in a discussion about the current Imperial quotas and how they're getting more difficult to meet each year. And as it turns out, the brother of the girl Ahsoka saved is a supporter of the Empire, noting that everybody welcomed them when they first arrived, but the elder tells him not everybody welcomed them as warmly as you did. And they continue to argue about how Palpatine has brought peace to the galaxy, but he did so through persecution. And the brother insists that they're safe as long as they're loyal, but the elder insists no one is safe. And then the sister, while pouring some tea, suggests they are safe, but it's not because of the Empire, as she looks in Ahsoka's direction. And Ahsoka pauses on this. There are still people out in the galaxy that believe in what the Jedi originally stood for.
Mm-hmm.
But again, this remark causes the brother to shoot a sideways glance at Ahsoka. And, you get that vibe off him, right? You know exactly what he's going to do.
Yeah, he's a weasel.
Yeah.
There's no other way to say it. Weasel.
Yep.
Just grony dopot, Slamo.
That's right.
Later that evening, the sister tells Ahsoka that they have to deliver the crops in the morning, and when Ahsoka suggests that the path is dangerous, she asks if the brother is coming along, but the sister replies, no, but we'll be safe, won't we, Master Jedi? And
dun, dun, dun.
Yeah, Ahsoka shuts her down, saying you shouldn't say such things. But the sister insists she saw Ahsoka push her clear of the bales, but Ahsoka insists she's wrong. But the sister again continues to press, asking why she didn't tell them. But Ahsoka says there's nothing to tell. And at this point, the sister kind of gets the hint and promises to keep it
it's not like
secret.
she's trying to hold up like, I'm not a Jedi. She's doing the I'm not a Jedi. I don't care what you saw.
Yeah.
Forget about it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And she finally says, okay, we'll keep the secret and I'll meet you at first light. And she runs off, leaving Ahsoka in the moonlight. But we find out the brother has been listening from the shadows. The next morning they get up and the cart's all loaded. And the elder tells them, be careful. But the sister shoots a glance again at Ahsoka and says, we'll be fine. They wave to the brother and they pull away, and he calls out, "May the Force be with you." And Ahsoka knows that he knows as well.
Like, oh, I'm in trouble now.
Yep. Later that evening, they return having sold their crops for less than they got the year prior, with the sister noting that the Empire is bleeding them dry. But as they crest a hill, they look on in horror as the village is completely engulfed in flames. And as we pass through a burning village, we see slain villagers and destroyed droids and nothing good. A shadowy figure with a red lightsaber drags his blade through the dirt as he circles the last two survivors, the elder and the brother. And the Inquisitor, he raises his blade, questioning the whereabouts of the Jedi that the brother reported. And the brother, he swears she'll be back and that he should be rewarded for turning her in. But the Inquisitor cites, you shouldn't be asking for imperial favor for lying.
Yeah.
But behind them, Ahsoka calls out, he's not lying. And the Inquisitor turns and asks who she is. But Ahsoka just demands that the two villagers be let go. Again, putting herself between the sister and the threat.
Well, as much as she can.
Yeah. The brother pleads that he wasn't lying, and here is the Jedi. And the Inquisitor agrees and moves behind the brother and offers him his reward, death. But Ahsoka force pushes the brother out of the way just in time, and this shifts the Inquisitor's focus squarely onto her.
Rightfully so.
Yeah, and as he approaches, he recognizes her as Ahsoka Tano and notes that it will be he who is rewarded. And Ahsoka, she just adjusts her stance, and for a moment, she clenches her fist. And then as the Inquisitor approaches, she loosens her fist. And the battle here, it lasts only seconds. But
it's like the final battle between Obi-Wan and Maul.
Darth Maul, yeah.
So fast.
Yeah. But it really is a striking battle. Like, she has no saber.
No.
And, you know, she dodges every strike attempt until she sees her opening, grabs the hilt of his saber and deactivates it, which throws him off. And this motion allows her the opportunity to kick him back and disarm him at the same time. But no motion is lost as she follows through, reigniting the blade and severing the Inquisitor's head. The head falls to the ground with a thud, and the body collapses a moment later. The battle is done. The sister, furious with her brother's actions, rushes to his side and forces him to look at the result of his loyalty to the Empire, and he hangs his head in shame. As Ahsoka approaches, though, he lifts his head and cries that he's sorry. And Ahsoka replies she knows he is, but they can't stay here because more will come. When an Inquisitor doesn't return, it basically confirms the location of a Jedi.
I would think so.
The sister pleads that they have nothing and nowhere to go. And again, this gives Ahsoka a moment of pause. Morning after, though, among the still smoldering remains of the village, the brother, sister, and elder have gathered what few possessions they remain. And a ship comes in for a landing. It's Bail Organa. He bids the villagers welcome aboard, and looking to Ahsoka, she hands him back the communicator. And he says that he thought she might have lost it, and things in the galaxy have only gotten worse. And he pauses a moment and asks if she's ready to get back in the fight. And she closes her eyes here and really thinks on it. And after a moment, she opens her eyes with a steely glance and nods, yes. And then we cut to black.
Crazy.
There's so much between this and picking up again in Star Wars Rebels.
Yeah.
You know, like, we can just do a whole series on that.
Oh yeah, easily.
Yeah.
Easily.
It's like she tried to live a normal, life out of the way.
Yeah.
Far from the Empire, but it still came right to her doorstep.
Either you guys ever read the Ahsoka novel?
I have not.
No.
So you're aware, though, that
should.
It's fantastic. First of all, it's fantastic.
Yeah.
And for a long time, that's basically all we knew about her after.
Right.
But it seems like, and the reason I bring it up now is because it seems like this episode in particular, the last episode, not really, because it could fit anywhere within that sort of the confines of that story, but certainly the version of the events of Order 66 are all different in what is considered a canon novel. I just was wondering, like, if you guys were privy to some of the changes and some of the things, and whether you thought which one trumps what, or I mean, some
Only
of them are
from reading
semantic.
online.
Some of them are semantic. Like, we're not sure which Inquisitor that was, but in the novel, it's the third brother, and the third brother is that guy, the Nightcrawler handy guy.
Yeah.
So is this just a random kill for her? Because she certainly has 2 kyber crystals there that she can purify.
One for each
in the novel.
emitter.
In the novel, she's betrayed by a farmer, and he destroys a village, and that Inquisitor comes to, and she kills him, and so the story is it tracks, but
from a certain point of view,
sort of the details are a little bit different. And I'm wondering if they are playing with Tales of the Jedi,
right,
being a little bit like
loosey goosey.
Well, almost like this is a story that I've heard about. I heard that Anakin Skywalker made Ahsoka dodge lightsaber, like stun blasts 10 hours a day for 3 years, or so I'm wondering if it's one of those things, because they did have 2 novels like that. One, they haven't had the Return of the Jedi novel, I don't believe, yet, but
I think those are questions that you could really, like, you could go nuts trying to figure that stuff out, because I would weigh that against the other Tales episodes, which are very solidly, especially the last one,
right
when you're standing in the hangar. Now, mind you, the number of troops, maybe that is like you say,
an indicator.
The number of troops changes, so when you tell the story and it gets bigger, it could be
like Rex and the 332nd have, well, the 332nd graves are legit, but there's a false grave, and what I guess it would maybe they repainted another helmet to look like his, but it's marked with his helmet there, and it's on Mandalore in the novel, which makes things, return the clones to Mandalore. Oh wow,
that's going right into Legends,
right? So things of that nature that are slightly different, but I encourage everybody out there, you guys too, if you get a chance. I think there's an audio book version kicking around YouTube.
It's about the only way I'm going to get through a book these days.
I hear you in the background.
It's so awful to say that. Yeah. Has there anybody done that as a podcast? We can break it down a few episodes.
This week I'll have that answer for you guys about Shaq T and Alice Sakura, because that
because the new issue will be out.
I haven't been pulling my hair out for a comic in a long time. I need to know what
the
frig is going on there.
I had Ayla Sakura's 6-inch Black Series figure in hand today, thinking, she just came back in the comic books. Should I get this?
And again, watching I put it back there last night. She goes down, and she goes down hard.
Shot back many times.
Yeah, but Reva was stabbed twice with a lightsaber.
True,
that's true.
I don't know, man.
The thing they did to Ayla Sakura is the thing that I'm yelling at the TV all the time. When somebody goes down, walk over, put a few extra in them to make sure they stay down. And the clones did that, and then some.
They peppered her. Yeah.
So I am anxious to see how that plays out, though. Like, to have two characters that have, one has an on-screen death, the other one has multiple
deaths across many platforms.
But wow, what a arc! It's not even an arc. It's 3 disjointed episodes that lend some more sort of
insight
to the character of Ahsoka. And God, they are. I think, especially having come off that Order 66 arc, they are so much more rewarding the second time around.
Sure, yeah, I agree. We really get to see some meat on her bones,
and now we get to chew on Star Wars Rebels, and that's going to be that's going to be exciting, if not a little intimidating. I know, for me anyway.
It's a dangerous dip into the pool, because
I've been
saying it for a long time. I would love to cover Rebels wholesale.
Yeah. I think, though, we keep going the way we are. We keep it sort of light on plot and more on character development, and we just sort of focus on that. I think it's going to be a great next couple of episodes as we chew through some of the Rebels stuff. And then before you know it,
the main event,
we're into August, and it's game on.
We were supposed to get a new trailer this weekend, and I seen at least one content creator blaming Elon Musk's Twitter being down the reason we haven't gotten it already.
Really? Twitter is the reason we don't release a movie trailer?
I'm not sure because
I don't understand that.
Well, because it's the way they explained it, the creator, I can't recall their name. The way they explained it was that it's still the largest platform in terms of promoting stuff to a fan base. And that with that, apparently it's still the largest. And with that down, a huge, like, you're talking 1 billion people might not get it the way they would normally get their content. And they didn't want to
right.
So they're rethinking the release plan now.
Okay.
That's what I mean, who knows what's real anymore, but
we're pretty late in the game now. I mean,
and we're like Sunday night, still haven't seen the trailer. So
that's
Essence Fest, whatever that is.
Well, just hang on a second now. Let me just, while we're still alive,
finger magic.
I'm going to pull some finger magic here. I was about to type finger magic. Why did you do that?
Get your shop t-shirt at Fandom Power merch store.
Serious. All right. So I have nothing. I typed in new Ahsoka trailer. I have nothing in the last few hours. So still nothing.
Still waiting.
Oh man. I'm really looking forward to doing the Rebel stuff. I hope that there's enough meat there for us to revisit it in the future between other shows as we look forward to the continuing live action Filoniverse as it plays out over the next couple of years leading up to our live action movie. My God, maybe that'll be the first movie review we do.
Oh, maybe
the culmination Filoniverse movie.
True.
Oh, crazy.
It might be. I mean, we've done everything else Filoni related till now.
Even though I don't know if it's on the list, the last episode of Rebels, I'd have to check the list again. But if it isn't, we should take a brief moment to revisit
and just do that one by itself.
The epilogue, at least the epilogue in detail, which is very brief.
Yeah, I'd be down for that.
Yeah,
I'm totally down for that. If you guys want to see something like that, let us know. You can hit us up in the comments, of course, whatever platform you're watching on. Love to hear from you guys. What do you think about the three of us covering the epilogue from Star Wars Rebels as a standalone episode? Be a short one, but it'd be good. It'd be interesting to talk about.
Yeah, we can always tack it on too.
Especially putting it up against that sequence in the marketing material that we've seen so far. That'd be fun to look at.
Exactly.
Lots of fun to look at. As I said earlier, do come back and hang out with us on Tuesday night when we return with another episode of Random Fandom. I've been following some stuff this week, so we got some updates to some stuff we talked about last week.
Yes, we do.
A lot of new stuff to talk about this week, and like I said, I'm going to roll out a new feature on Tuesday, which I think is going to be fun and kind of hilarious. Hopefully you guys think it is as well. If that's not your thing, do come back next Sunday as we, part 7 on our road to Ahsoka. Yeah, that's right. Got a few more. Got to figure out the breakdown. I got to go back and look at my notes to see how the next couple of arcs link together to figure out how we're going to handle the writing. But other than that, we will be back next week and Tuesday night, of course. But until then, you guys got anything else?
Oh man,
I got nothing
either. So I guess we'll see everybody later for Fandom Power. My name is Wes.
I'm Andy.
And I'm Hank.
We'll see everybody on the next one. Bye for now.